Hello and welcome to today's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. I suddenly realised as the countdown started I had the wrong glasses on. Never mind the wrong trousers and Wallace and Gromit. The wrong glasses and Simon and Sudoku is not a combination that anybody wants to watch. This is the puzzle we're going to be trying today. It's called Whisper Loop De Loop and it's by yttrio. And this is part of a series of puzzles. We did a couple of weeks back a puzzle which had a very similar rule set, but it wasn't whisper based. I'm trying to remember I think that was polarity based. I think cells along a loop that we had to draw into that grid had to go high low high low high low. Here they have to be whispers, and there's also some funny thing going on about the actual values along the whisper line. Anyway, I'll read the rules in a moment or two's time. In fact, today I don't have much news. I've got no birthdays. So just the usual appeal. If you do enjoy the channel, please check out the sorts of things we've got going on around the channel. We have a Patreon page, which is the best Sudoku club on earth. We've got loads of apps. You can find the details in the video description under the video. Merch, the Discord server where there's all sorts of Sudoku jiggery pokery going on all the time. And yeah, anyway, basically under the video, in the video description, loads and loads of stuff. Let me now read you the rules of yttrio's puzzle, Whisper Loop De Loop. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules. But look at this, there's a comedy 23 cage. I'm just, as I'm reading the rules, I'm sort of, my eyes are catching things in this grid that look strange to me. So normal Sudoku rules apply. So we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box once each. Digits in a cage must not repeat and must sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage. So this is immediately ringing alarm bells because 9 and 8 are the largest Sudoku digits, and yet this cage apparently adds up to 23. Draw a 1 cell wide loop of orthogonally connected cells. Orthogonally connected is just a posh way of saying 2 cells sharing an edge. So in order to make our loop here, we couldn't draw something like this, because although that sort of superficially looks like a loop, these 2 cells are not orthogonally connected. They only connect diagonally at a point. So to make these, or to make this section orthogonally connected to this section, we could add one of these 2 into the loop. Although we could only add one of those 2, because if we added both, this loop is now not 1 cell wide, which is another of the conditions that we need to try and obey. So we could do a loop like this. That would be a valid loop. Now the loop may not touch itself, not even diagonally. So what does that mean? Let's try and draw a bit of loop in. Let's imagine we drew that loop. Again, we might, at first blush, we might say, well, that's a valid loop. All the cells are orthogonally connected. Indeed they are, but here, look, the loop has touched itself diagonally at this point, and that's not allowed. So we'd have to amend it to something like that, and then that would work. The loop must enter at least 1 cell of each cage. So now it doesn't work again. We've got to make sure the loop enters at least 1 cell of each cage. Numbers on the loop count as double their value when calculating cage sums. So that's how we're going to get up to 23 here. We're going to have loop cells entering this that then get doubled in order to reach the total. Numbers are, for example, a 2-cell cage summing to 10. We don't have one of those. May contain a 2 on the loop and a 6 not on the loop, and that's because the 2 on the loop would count double, so it would count 4, and the 6, which is not on the loop, would count 6, and 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. Now, the last part, the loop acts as a German whispers line, brackets, i.e. adjacent digits on the loop must have a difference of at least 5. Actually, that is quite similar to the last puzzle now I think about it, because you can't put 5 on a German whispers line. Imagine this was the loop, just for a moment, which I know is impossible because it doesn't go into all the cages. Yeah, because I was just checking that rule. The loop must enter at least 1 cell of each cage. But let's just deal with the secrets of German whispers quickly. Can you put 5 on this loop? And the answer is no, because the next digit the adjacent cell on the loop to a 5 has to be at least 5 different from 5. So if we go upwards, we get to 10. Well, that's not a valid Sudoku digit. If we go downwards, we get to 0, and that's not a valid Sudoku digit. And obviously, digits higher than 10 or lower than 0 are equally invalid. So you can never put 5 on a whispers line. And therefore, the digits, imagine this was a digit lower than 5. Well, what's this then? However small we start, imagine that was a 1 and we only added 5 to it, we still end up the other side of 5. So this loop is going to oscillate polarity just as the loop did in the other puzzle. Now, the original undoubled value of the digit, the original undoubled value of the digit is always used for the purposes of the German whispers constraint. I see. Right, so what that's saying is imagine we had that loop. Now, for the purposes of the cage, everything we put into these 3 squares is doubled in order to work out whether we've achieved this 24 value. But for the purposes of the German whispers rule, we'd have to oscillate polarity and ignoring the doubling effect in the cage. So if this was a 1, this would have to be at least 5 different from 1. In fact, 1 was not going to work. Well, ignore the 24. Yeah, I mean, what it's saying is something like that would be a valid way to fill the whispers property, although, of course, this wouldn't work, because 1 plus 9... sorry, this cage only adds up to 12, and 12 doubled. Oh, no, it is 12. I've done that. That's bizarre. I've actually come up with something that works there. Sorry. Now it doesn't work. That makes me feel better. Yeah. Okay. So in order for the German whispers part, we have to have digits 5 apart. To make the actual... I bet this is 192 now. If that is right, that's completely serendipitous. But it does occur to me that 1 plus 9 plus 2 is 12. 12 doubled is 24, so that would be a valid way of making that cage work. That was completely by accident. Anyway, do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video, as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I'll tell you one thing that was occurring to me as I was thinking about this 23 cage. And I think this is going to matter immediately, is that the loop cannot traverse both of those cells. And that's because it's simply parity, isn't it? Because for the purposes of the cage, each of these loop cells would then be doubled. Well, that means that the sum of these 2 digits must be divisible by 2, because, you know, if that's 2x and that's y, 2x plus 2y is clearly the same as 2 times x plus y, and therefore it's even, and 23 is odd. So we can only have one of these digits on the loop, and yeah, and it can't be this one that's on the loop, because imagine this one was on the loop and this one wasn't on the loop. Then the loop would go like that, and it would be touching itself on the turn here. That's fine. But then the loop, it's a loop, it's not a cul-de-sac, so this has to extend, and it therefore has to go there, and these 2 cells are touching each other. So that's not allowed. So instantly we can see that that is not loop, so we need to establish some colours here. I'll use the ones that are most colourblind friendly, so we'll have orange for loop and blue for not loop. So this is now orange. Because we can't reach 23 and 2, so one of these needed to be on the loop. This is now odd, because we've just said that anything on the loop it's going to amount to an even digit by the time we've doubled it. So 23 is odd. So in order for the pair to add to an odd number, this has to be odd, and this probably can't be very small either. If that was, it can't be 5, can it? 6 or 6. 12 plus 11 is 23. 7 does work. So 7 works with 9. 8's going to work with 7. And then 9's going to work with 5. Let me just double check that. Double 9 is 18 plus 5 is 23. So, right, and now, this is huge. Well, there's oh, my brain's just going off on one now, because the corner now can't be on the loop, or it would be cul-de-sac. This cell can't be on the loop, or the loop's touching itself. And we actually know now we know the polarity of the loop. And what do I mean by that? Well, we know that these two squares, because of the whispers constraint, have to be low digits. In fact, and this is huge. This is going to be huge for the puzzle, because just as in that other puzzle, and this is a great example of how solving, regularly and different types of puzzle, it gives you a bank of knowledge to draw on. So I remember from that other puzzle that the sort of bishop's move idea was very important, and you can see it here. So because German whispers lines oscillate in polarity, they go high, low, high, low, high, low, and because this loop that we're going to draw in is going to, we have to draw orthogonally from one cell to another. We know that wherever we go next here, one of these two squares is therefore a high digit. So imagine this digit was on the loop. I don't know whether this is on the loop yet or not, but imagine it was. We then immediately know this is a low digit, because to get the loop from here to here, we will have to take an even number of cells. Let's pick another example that's more difficult to see. Let's pick that one. And we can immediately see that's on the same bishop's colour as this one. So that's going to be a low digit. Let's prove it. How are we going to get from here to here? Well, we could go there, 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 and then there. And you can see that to do that, we always have to go an even number of steps. So we're always going to end up on the same polarity as this square here. Now, I imagine that's important. Not sure exactly how to. Well, that's got to be on the loop, hasn't it? So that's now high. This can't be a 4. Well, I remember, and neither can this actually. Let me just explain that. Now, there are two digits on German whispers lines that are so-called monogamous. They only have one partner, and that's the digits 4 and 6. So if you think about the digit 4 and ask, well, what could be the adjacent digit to 4 on a whispers line? We need a digit that's 5 away. There is only one, and that's the digit 9. So imagine this was a 4. That's going to force this to be a 9. But how do we extend the loop? We know it's going to be in one of those squares, and we know it will have to be a 9, and that's going to put 2 9s in box 3. So we can't have a 4 here, and we can't have a 4 there for the same reason. That's going to lead to 2 9s in column 9. I'm a bit disconcerted though, because I thought it would be more obvious to me exactly how to extend the loop. I think there's something going on with this cage, but I don't think that's going to be very useful. We know the loop enters this cage, and we know that the digit that's on the loop, once it's entered that cage, gets doubled. So let's think about how we could make this cage up. If we filled it with a 1, 2, 3 triple, that's the least we could put into it. Yet we know one of these cells needs to be doubled. So even if we put the minimum total in and we only doubled the 1, that is the only way we could get to 7. Because we're going to have double 1, which counts as 2, plus an actual 2, plus an actual 3. That equals 7. There is no other way we can keep this down. So this is a 1, 2, 3 triple. And one of its cells is loop. But I have okay. I should take my own advice. So now we know, we can work out which cell it is. Well, we want it to be that one, which it's not. Bobbins. Okay. We now know this cell is not on the loop, because if this cell here was on the loop, it would be high, because of the bishop's move idea that we've just talked about. So we know that anything on the same bishop's colour as these two squares, imagine this was a chess bishop, it can obviously move down its own diagonals only. So, you could never get a chess bishop in this position onto this square. It simply won't work. So we know we're doubling a 1. Well, we know this is now not a 1, because we know that the digit that's being doubled in this box, i.e. is loopable, must be one of these two to be the right polarity. Right. Okay, so maybe I think it might be one of these two. maybe this one is where we look next, because again I can see the I don't know, I can't quite see how to do this, but I'm going to check this one, because I know that again it's exactly the same logic as this 23 cage. It's not possible that the loop occupies both of these cells, because 11 is an odd number and 2 loop cells will always add to an even number. So that means we're either looking at the loop having a corner here, or we're looking at the loop having a corner here. That looks more interesting to me, because I can see that that's going to force, well, that's going to force a 4 into one of those squares. Because the loop oscillates polarity, one of these digits needs to be a low number, i.e. a number lower than 5, and it could only be 4. Wow, that's beautiful. Right, okay, so that doesn't, this is wrong, believe it or not. This is wrong, because we'd have this situation, and we have to put a low digit in here. It has to be 4. Therefore, you have to put 4 next to 9 on the whisper, so this is a 4-9 pair. Well, what's this digit now? Remember, it's doubled because of the rules in terms of the cage value. So if this is 9, this is counting as 18, and we'd need this to be -7, which it can't be. So that's a 4, but now we run into the problem that 4 is monogamous, so both of those squares are now 9, and that breaks the puzzle. That's beautiful. It's such a simple idea. It's so simple, but it's just very satisfying when you see it. Right, so this now, is it working like this? This has to be a knot on the loop. That's got to extend. And we can bishop's colour this, can't we? So let's work out what is, yeah, so this is a low number we've just worked out. So that's 1, 2, 3, or 4. So these, well, it's not 4 because those two are both on the loop and they would both be 9. So now it's down to 1, 2, or 3. This is a low number as well. That can't be 4 because the next digit on the loop is here or here. And whichever one it is, it will see this cell. So if we make this 4, this is 9. And that 9 would rule 9 out of both of those and break the puzzle. So this is 1, 2, or 3. This now is 7, 8, or 9. Can't be 6 because 6 would result in double 1. Now that one can be 6 because if the loop, no, it can't actually. No, I was forgetting this. I thought it could be 6 because I thought we could make the loop go here and have a double 1 pair, but there's a 1 over here, so that's not right either. So in fact, yeah, no. That's annoying. I was just going to say that the loop can't come here. But what if this was a 4? It went 9, 4, 9. 9, 4, 9. 1. Okay, so I don't think I can rule the loop out from going to this square. I'm not sure, but I don't think I can. Let's think about this digit. So if this is if this is 1 doubled, then this is 9, isn't it? So we must be 9, 7, 5ing it into these squares because this is always adding to even numbers. We do know. Now here it's different. We don't know whether the loop takes both of those squares or not. If the loop took both squares in the 20 cage, these two squares would sum to 10. They couldn't be 4, 6 because 4 and 6 aren't 5 apart. And they couldn't be 3, 7 because 3 and 7 are not 5 apart. So it'd have to be either 2, 8 or 1, 9. Or the loop could come. Oh, maybe the loop has to come into that square. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? If the loop doesn't come to this square, there is a massive problem. Because now the loop has to go there and we get another loop that's turning and touching itself. Jolly naughty loop. So that's definitely on the loop, which means we know it's 6, 7, 8 or 9. It probably can't be 6. No, that's wrong. It can be 6. Because if that's 6 and that's 1 and then the loop goes there, it would be okay. And then that would be 12, and that would be 8. Good grief. Okay, so it can be 6. I didn't think that was going to happen, but it can be. That's got to be blue, because otherwise the loop is branching. Wow. I mean, this is very... It's very strange to me that just stops again. Yttrio is a brilliant setter. I mean, it's very impressive. I mean, this is almost a symmetrical setup. The only break in the sort of symmetry of the starting position in terms of the cage positions is that this doesn't have an equivalent on this side. Now, come on. What's the polarity of that digit? That's, yeah, okay, that's high, isn't it? I was just thinking, if that's on the loop, it's not possible for both of these not to be on the loop. So we have 2 loop cells. That doesn't work. Yeah, that doesn't work because this is high. It would be 6, 7, 8 or 9 doubled. So it's worth at least 12. You can't keep these down to just adding up to 2, irrespective of the fact that actually one of them will be doubled if that's on the loop. So this isn't on the loop, which is blue, isn't it? So one of these at least is on the loop. Could you have 2 loop cells if they were both low? Probably yes. Okay, so that's not how we make progress either. What about this? I don't think it's going to be this 24 cage because it feels to me like we could do what we did in the example and put 1, 2 and 9 into it. Or maybe the polarity is wrong for that now. No, it's not. No, unsurprisingly, I bet this is 1, 2, 9. That would be low, that would be low, and that's going to be high. So 9 in the middle of a 1, 2 pair looks very... Well, it looks very plausible. The 23 is odd. That's the most fatuous thing anyone's ever said in a video. 23 is odd, which means it's not possible for the loop to run into all of those squares. So the loop is entering a maximum of 2 of these squares. But there's nothing to stop this doing that, is there? Or at least I don't think. Oh, no, there is. Ah, of course, right. Yes, there is. There is something very important that prevents this. Let's just deal with that. How could this possibly be the loop? If you can't see why that's not going to work, pause the video. Now the reason is actually fairly obvious. Once you recognise there's a 1, 2, 3 triple in this box, that means there's a maximum of one other low digit somewhere in this box that's on the loop. So it's this sort of thing, which is clearly going to involve, because the loop oscillates high-low, it's clearly going to involve 2 low digits, isn't it? That cannot exist. That's not going to work. So in fact, let me think about this for a second. So yeah, how could that be on the loop then? If that's on the loop, the loop cannot end in this square. So one of these is on the loop. The low digit, let me just double check this. Yeah, this would be the low digit. So that would be a 4 because it can't be a 1, 2 or a 3. That would be a 9, but then the digit after the 9 would have to be a low digit, and there are none available. So in fact, we can rule this cell out from being on the loop. And yeah, and that configuration is impossible because again, there's 2 more dominoes of loop there, which would require 2 low digits. So the 23 case, so it has a corner, is what we've just learnt. There is a corner either here or here. So one of these is a 4-9 pair. Now what we can work out, can't we? Yeah, the low digit is always in the 23 cage. So I don't really know how to do this, but I think it's valid to say there's a 4 in one of those and a 9 in one of those. And it's either doing that or that. And the 4 is going to be doubled, and it's the only doubled digit in the 23 cage. So one of these is 8, which means the other digits are adding up to 15. So this is a 6, 7, 8 or 9. Because, I mean, imagine it did that. Imagine it did that, the loop. This is worth 8. These two squares have to be worth 15. So they'd either be 6, 9 or 7, 8. Although, hang on. No, that's wrong. They can't be 6, 9. I've just said there's a 9 in one of these. So that square is 7 or 8, actually. So in fact, this is a 4, 7, 8 triple now, because we know one of them's a 4. And we've just worked out that the others must be a 7, 8 pair. So now we know what these squares are. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we can fill this in. 5, 6, 9. I don't know whether that's loop or not. So we mustn't get hooked up on that. But we've basically filled this box in. Let me just think about this for a second or two. I'm not seeing how to do this. I'm only allowed to take one more domino. This we know that's not on the loop. We know that. Yeah, so the loop is going. Yeah, so either the loop takes all 3 of those squares, or it takes all 3 of these squares. And then, yeah, okay, so there's a 9 in one of those squares. That's another small deduction. I know that's a cross box, but I may even remove it. But that must be true, because this is a corner of the loop that's got a 4 in it. You've either got double 9 here, or you've got double 9 here. Which is... oh no, oh. No, that might be a problem this way, I think. Oh. Sorry, I'm trying to... I think it's okay, actually. Oh no, actually, I'm not sure it's okay. No, I'm not sure it's okay. How do you now I think it might be okay again. No, that's not okay. I can't get the loop out. Oh no, I'm going to have to look at this. I feel like there's a problem here to do with the fact that if the loop takes this corner, we know it takes this cell. So now this can't join up with this, because then this will be a stranded loop end. So this has to join up with this, which means that's got to be on the loop, and that doesn't work. Wow, okay, this is quite complicated to see, but actually it's helped me to fill this one in as well, because let's imagine we are in this world where the left hand side of box 8 is the loop, because we know it's either doing that or it's doing that. Let's imagine it's doing this. We can now see that this needs to connect to this. Now that means we can't take this cell, or we definitely can't take this cell, because then these are connected, and as the loop is not allowed to touch itself, you know, we're basically broken. So we have to take that square in order to connect these up. But this is now low polarity digit because of the bishop's move constraint. But that can't work, because if it's low polarity, we know it's a 4. And if it's a 4, it's monogamous, so it can only be next to 9. But this is a 9 in this paradigm, because we've gone down this strut, and that's a 4, and that's double 9. So you can't extend the loop from this position. That is very, very, very cool, but I totally accept that's not easy to see. But that's going to do work, I think, because now all of that turns blue. We have to go down this line, and we get two 9s here, a 4 here. This now is not 9. That's, well, that might, no, that's not 9 because there's a 9 here. We know the loop can't touch itself, so the loop goes here. So this digit is a 1, 2, or a 3. That digit is not a 4. Oh, bobbins. I thought that was... Well, okay, here's another small point. The loop can't go into box 7 at all now. Because if we dip down here with the loop, how do we get out without the loop touching itself? You can't. Where's my phone buzzing? That's okay. So that's got to go there, which means it's a low digit. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put 4 in again. I bet it can't be 4 for some reason. If it's 4, that's 9. But then, oh, hang on. No, it can't go into... We just said it can't go into this because it can't get out. Yeah, that can't be 4. Because the next digit on the loop is there or there. And that would be a 9, and it would see the 9 that would be forced here. So this is not 4. And now I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple in box something, box 4 there. And I'm going to see what that means. I don't know. No, I was about to say, is it Sudoku on 9s, but I very much think it's not. Ah, hang on. We know that's the doubled 1, don't we? I'd forgotten that. So that's a doubled 1 in order to make this 7 cage work. No, that does nothing, or at least I don't think it does anything. How can this possibly have enough information in it to finish from here? This is bonkers, isn't it? I don't understand this at all. I'm so sorry. If you can see how this is obvious in some way, what we do next, I'm very impressed. I haven't got a clue. Is it... okay. Perhaps now I've got to think about how the loop gets through this sequence of digits, because what we can't do now is have the loop exit box 9 through a polarity cell that's low, i.e. that cell. Oh, that's good. That's actually useful. Let me show you why. If this cell is on the loop, by polarity it's low, but it's not 1, 2, or 3, so it's 4. But then how's that going to work? This 4 has to be attached to something. That can only be 9, which it can't be. So it sort of defeats itself. So that's not on the loop. And now the loop has to go through there, which is ludicrous. Now that now is high, of course, because we've just... And therefore, right, that's lovely. It's high. It can't be 6, or it would be surrounded by double 1. So now, oh, this is gorgeous. Now I've got a 7, 8, 9 triple. I know what that digit is. That's 5. And if that's 5, that's got to be worth a lot. Double 9. That's 9. Doesn't do anything to these digits. Does correct these digits down to 7 and 8. So they can't be next to... Well, that digit's interesting. That's got a 7 on one side of it. So that can only be a 1 or a 2, which gives me a 1, 2, 3 triple in this row. Ah, the 3 of which is on the left. So that can't be 3 anymore. This digit, I think that's got to be 1, 2, or 3. Yeah, okay, and we can close the loop, because this digit cannot close the loop, because it would be high in the corner, it would be 6 surrounded by double 1 because of its monogamous nature. So we've got to go here with a high digit that's got to be 7 or 8. Can't be 6. Well, actually, it can't be 6 for loads of reasons, including sudoku this time. Right, now this digit has definitely got a 7 on one side of it, so that can't be a 3, which means I've now got a 3 here. 3 can't go next to 7, so it must go next to 8, which makes this 7, makes this 8. I don't know what that means, but it does mean 4 and 6 are now a pair in column 9. We know that's not on the loop, so let's codify that. This square is not a 7, so that's going to rule out 2 from this square. Okay, it might be stuck now, but I'm still quite pleased. Oh, there's a 4, so that's a 6. So that's a 4 at the top of the grid. Okay, this is a 1, 2, 3 triple, so we can ask where 1, 2 and 3 go in box 9, and they are a triple there. So these are a 4, 5 pair, and that's great, yeah, because now 5 is looking at that square, making this a 9, so that's got to be with double 1. That's a 2, that's a 3. 2 can't go next to 6. 3 can't go next to 7. Oopsie, can go next to 8. This 1 means this is a 2, so this is a 1. Good grief. This is absolutely stunning. That's now not 9, so that might limit this one's ability. Oh, that is limited. This is beautiful. It's beautiful because when we looked at this cage before, it didn't work, or I didn't know what it was. Now I do, because when we did look at it before, I noticed if there were 2 loop cells in it, they had to add up to 10, but they would also have to obey the whisper. So we said 2, 8 would work, but 2, 8 won't work now there's a 2 in the column. So this cannot be on the loop. 3, 7 are not 5 apart, and 2, 8 breaks this. So that's blue. And if that's blue, that's on the loop, which is low, although absolutely unrestricted, I think. Probably it can't be. Or it can't be 4. Okay, but now we can limit this one, can't we? Because what have we got? We've got double 7, which would go with 6, or double 8, which would go with 4. That's not 9 anymore, so there's a 7, 8 pair in this column. What about these digits? They are 6 and 8 by sudoku. Now what do we do? I've got a horrible feeling any moment now we're going to have to think about this cage. And I don't know. Is this in some way obvious where we look now? I don't really have a good feel for where I'm meant to look. What's restricted? If that's on the loop, that's low, and it would be 2 or 3. So that would be a 2, 3. The loop would do that. The loop would do exactly that, in fact. So you get a U pentomino of loop there. And is the same thing true the other way round? The other way round, yeah, that's, well, this has more options. Actually, it can't be 4. That could be 1, 2, or 3. And then the loop would do that. So we're either getting a U pentomino here or here. One of those things is true. Or is, oh, hang on, are both of those things true? That's another thought I hadn't considered. No, that's not possible, because we know that the low digits would be in those positions, so they would have to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple, and that's going to break this square. So it is only one side that we have a U pentomino. 1 has to be in one of those 2 squares. I'm now resorting to sudoku. That's how desperate I am. Is there some... If that's a 3, that has to be an 8. That would make this a sets. Oh, no, that's fine. If that's a 7, that has to be a 1 or a 2. Oh, there's an 8 here. Hang on. That's okay. But it's, I don't, well, no, it will give me this digit. So I've now got 16. I've got to add 4 to it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't scoff at that. That was simple Sudoku, but it's still important. 3, that's a 3. That's a naked single. It sees 5 and 6 in its row. So in fact, this column is finished. Sorry. Okay. So that was all been available for ages. Now we can't go into the corners. All of these are blue. Let's actually codify that so we know that that's where we are. Okay. So the next loop digit from this square is here or here. Now if it's here, this would have to be a 7 because it couldn't be 8, 9 or 6. But if it's here, it might be able to be 9. That would fix this digit. I still feel like I'm looking in the wrong place here. It's like I haven't quite understood something. It's probably this cage. I don't know, actually. I'm not sure. Oh, I'll tell you something simple. The loop can't go in there. That's got the wrong polarity. So the loop does go here. So this is high, which is fine, but actually probably not fine. It could be 6. No, it can't be 6 actually for a serious reason, which is that 1, there's these two 1s are ruling out every orthogonal direction from this cell, so we couldn't put a 1 in any of those squares. So that's 7 or 8. Right, this is it. This is what I've missed. Right, now can the loop turn horizontally? No, because the only low digit that's available, and it would be a low digit in one of these two squares, is 4, and 4 is monogamous and can only go next to 9, which this cannot be. So the loop goes here, which is not what I thought would happen at all. So these squares, all of these squares are blue. You can't get, the loop cannot touch those squares now. Now, if we go here, the loop's going to turn there and it will touch itself and it will create a little mini loop on the right hand side. So that's out of bounds. That's out of bounds for exactly the same reason. We can't do that. Can't have that corner in the loop. So, but we have to go into the 24 cage somewhere. I mean, there might be a reason that that's not possible, but I mean, I think that would make that a 9. But 9 in this 24 cage is probably quite a sensible thing to go for. But why couldn't it be that, for example? Actually, that's a bit tricky as well. Yeah, I just want to look at this. I'm not sure about it, but let's just do that for a second. That doesn't work. Because this loop end, we can see it can't touch this cell, not even diagonally. So it must touch here, but it can't do that without touching the loop. So this is not, it's not both of these squares that are on the loop. Right, I'm going to put an X in there. The loop doesn't go through, so the loop is going to take one of these squares exactly. Yeah, I mean, it can't do that, can it? It would. I'm just wondering whether the loop can take these 3 squares, because if the loop doesn't take this square, let's think about that, then the loop we know takes this square. These are touching, so we have to take that one into the loop. And now we can't go off on a wander here because we're going to end up touching this before we touch this. So we're going to have to do exactly that. Or, well, no, we're going to have to do exactly that and then one of these two. But that looks to me... So that would be low. This would be a 1 or a 4, but it would have to be a 1. Yeah, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. And this is again... I think... yeah, okay, let's go back. Let's go back. I can see how this doesn't work for a better reason than I'm giving you here. Let's go all the way back to here. And let's ask whether this square can be on the loop. And the answer is simply no, without having to worry about what the loop does. Because only one of these squares is on the loop. If it's this one, we can see it can be 1 or 4 by polarity, because it has to be orange. Well, if it's on the loop, it's orange, but by bishop's move, it's low. Now, can this be 4? No, because it's going to have 9 here, which immediately breaks it, actually. We don't even have to worry about where it goes after that. So it has to be a 1, but double 1 means these two squares have to add to 22, and that's simply too big. The highest we could put in these two squares would be 9 and 8, and they would only add to 17. So what this is telling us is that this is the loop square, and then that's the loop square. This is non-loop. This is non-loop now. And now we can do some... Well, yeah, this is great. This is a 9, because it's high polarity. It can't be 7 or 8, and if it was 6, it would be monogamous and surrounded by double 1. So that's 9. It doesn't actually seem to resolve anything down here. Double 9 is 18. So these digits add up to 6, and they are natural. And the 1 or the 2 will... Oh, this is... No, where's the 2? You can't put 2 in the cage. So it's a 1-5 pair, and we know the order. So that's 1, that's 5, that's 5, that's 6. That's got to be a 2 or a 3 by sudoku, because it can't be 1 or 4. That digit can't... Well, actually, that's 2 or 3 as well. It can't be 4, because where would you put the 9 into one of those squares without seeing this 9? It's impossible. So this is a 2-3 pair. Wow, so if that's on the loop, it's a 1 now, because it sees 2, 3 and 4, and it would be low, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would be low by polarity. Oh, this is gorgeous. Good grief. We even now know where the loop goes. If the loop went here, what high digit would this be? It can't be 8 or 9, yet it has to be 5 at least from 3. So it would have no option. So that's loop, and therefore this is an 8-9 pair in the row. And therefore this is 7, and 7 can't go next to 3, so that's 2, that's 3. That's 3, that's 2. Come on. That's 9, so that's 8, that's 9. 9. We can block off all of these squares from being loopable now. And we're going to be left with working out how the loop closes at the top of the grid. That's what we're going to be left with. I don't know how we're going to do that. I suspect there's more sudoku we can do at this point, though. 4, 5, 6, 8 into here. No, actually that's not a good thought, is it? There's still loads of options. 9 is in one of those two cells. 9 is placed in this box. There are 4 9s looking at box 6, so we can place the 9. These two squares have got to be a 4-6 pair. So we've not put 1, 5 and 7 can be placed. So that's 7. This is a 1-5 pair. These two squares are a 4-6 pair, which is resolved by that. So these squares are 8 and 5, which is not resolved, and these squares are 4 and 6, which is also not resolved. Okay. Is there any triplage or something going on in any of these columns or rows? I don't know. I think probably I have to check this digit, don't I? It's going to be 2, 7 or 8. Which... 8 feels quite difficult. The problem is, what about that? Actually, yeah, let's look at these digits. 3, 5, 8. Phone is buzzing at me again. That seems that's okay. If that was 8, it couldn't be doubled. That would have to be... That's not 8, actually. I can't... Well, I'm saying it's not 8. I can't see how to make it work if it's 8. If that's 8... It can't be doubled 8, because then these would add up to -2. So it has to be plain old 8. Then this would have to be 2, because 7 would break the bank. This would then have to be -1 if it was 7. So this would be 8. This would be 2. That's 10, which means this is either 4. Well, it's not 4. It's got to be the double digit, which means it's got to repeat the 2. So that's not going to work. So this actually allows us to place 8, look, in this box, which is going to allow us to place 8 in this box. Which, well, this looks really, that looks very likely to me now, because that would put a 3 between two 8s, which everything is the correct polarity. If this is double 3, that gives us 6, so we need these two squares to add up to 8, which would make this, well, this could be 1, 7, or 6, it couldn't be 6, 2, it would have to be 7, 1. That feels what I think that's what it's going to be. But I don't know that. If this is 5, it couldn't be whispered, could it? Yeah, but this could be double 1 then. Oh. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm still not sure how to do this. Where does 4 go in this column? Maybe we'll resort to our old friend sudoku. We put a 4 here. This is 2. Oh, hang on. Hang on. That's not 8 anymore. So 8 in this column goes at the bottom. That becomes 7. This is part of a 2, 7 pair in the column. These squares are 1, 6 and 9. And that square is not 6, but at least now that's not 9. So now we can think again. If this was on the loop, it could be on the loop. It could be a 1. What? How am I meant to do this then? There must be... I think there are 2 ways this works, which is really surprising. 1 here, doubled, would require this to be, I think that would have to be 9, because 6 would work, but then would lead to another 1 on the loop. So we'd have to do, oh, hang on, I know what it's going to be. Yeah, oh, this is lovely. It's lovely and simple. Okay, the idea is going to be, how do we get the loop from here to here? And particularly, how do we get it through column 5? Because 4 is sitting here. Well, 4 is monogamous, so it cannot be the channel through which we go. That cannot be loop. So the loop has to go through here, which means these two are on the loop. We now know that's got to be a 2 by polarity. That's got to be a 9 by polarity. So this is 1. This is 6. I'm sure this does it somehow. Okay, that's a 7. So maybe it's maths that does it. So this is 7. So what is this digit now? If that's 5, it can't be on the loop. And then that would be doubled 1, and that would work. If it's 3, that would be on the loop. It would be doubled. And then that would be 1 and off the loop, and that would work. I don't know what's going on. How does this work every way you do it? Okay, where does 7 go in this row? It's got to go here. This is really peculiar. Maybe... Okay, that's now 9. I can see that by our old friend Sudoku. It must be Sudoku. 1, 3, 6 and 7. So this is a 1, 3 pair. Okay, we can do the order. So that's 3, 1, 2. That's going to be a 2 up here. Let's put that in. That's got to be a something, a 5. So that's a 5, that's an 8. That's an 8, that's a 6, that's a 6, that's a 4. This column needs 1 and 7, which we can put in. And this box needs 2 and 4, which we can put in. So now that's 2, that's 3. That works as far as this whisper line. That's now become a 1. That's become a 3. That's become a 5. That's become a something. What's that going to be? A 3, I think. 1, 5, 5, 4, 4, 6, 6, 7. That's how the Sudoku finishes. And our job is going to be to work out, right, and now I can see it, because this has to, where does it go for its next loop cell? It can't go into high polarity digits. So the loop must dip down, and then it must go to a low polarity, and then it must go to a high polarity. This is so beautiful. Now the maths of this box requires this not to be on the loop. We need a low digit, which has to be here. Now we need a high digit, which has to be here, and that finishes it. What a puzzle. That's really, really beautiful. That is really, really beautiful. It must be right. There's no way that cannot be right when it flows like that. I don't know. I don't think I know how difficult this was meant to be. I'm trying to think. I don't think I do. It's taken me a shade under 50 minutes. And it's been solved 40 times in 130 days, so it's not had nearly as much attention as it should have done. That's brilliant, that puzzle. It's absolutely brilliant. We've drawn a sort of, it looks like we've drawn a country in the grid. I don't know which country that would be. I will allow the learned geographers amongst you to tell me. Yttrio, take a bow, another brilliant, brilliant loop puzzle. Stunning, in fact, absolutely stunning. Loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on with it. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.